Man, wouldn't it be great if there was a free-to-play, class-based, Ghost in the Shell themed first-person shooter with a killer soundtrack? Well, there is. It's Neotokyo. What started as a multiplayer mod for Unreal Tournament 2004, Neotokyo jacked into the cyberverse in 2009 as a mod for Half-Life 2. For nearly 10 years, Neotokyo has been a standby for me whenever I'm craving a tactical FPS that's not Rainbow Six Siege, Insurgency, or Rising Storm 2. Half Ghost in the Shell, half Counter-Strike, Neotokyo by the now defunct Studio Radi-8 may be one of the most polished mods ever created. It was nominated for several Mod of the Year awards in 2010 and released on Steam in 2014. Neotokyo is hard and unforgiving to newcomers, especially those accustomed to the niceties of current multiplayer shooters. This is mostly because Neotokyo does a piss-poor job at explaining its mechanics. Contrary to Studio Radi-8's belief, it's not a good idea to explain the fundamentals of gameplay in the loading screen before each match. There are 3 classes to choose from: Recon, Assault, and Support. Each class is radically different in the way that they play, both in their weapon loadout and their maneuverability. Recon is fast and agile, able to get into various vents on most maps, while having the lowest health pool. Support, on the other hand, is slow and meandering, but has the largest health pool. And Assault? Well, Assault is for basics whose favorite color is cream. To add to this, each class has several specialties to further differentiate them from one another. These come in the form of cloaking and vision modes. Cloaking covers the player in near invisibility for a set amount of time depending on their class, and becomes more effective the less you move. Vision modes are toggleable filters that augment firefights. Recon has night vision, Assault has motion vision, and Support is thermal vision. From there, the gameplay is remarkably similar to Counter-Strike, with the added ability to lean around corners. Time to kill is quick, weapons have decent spread, and you buy weapons at the beginning of each round. Combat is tense and often naturally encourages team play due to how fast you go down. For a source mod, the game looks great too. Studio Radi-8 created a unique world that wears its Ghost in the Shell and Akira influence on its sleeve, right down to littering the world with tachikomas.
What a concept!
If you're a fan of these movies, and I know you are, you owe it to yourself to give the game a download just to wander around the maps these guys created. There's so many little details and added grit to every last alley and billboard. Couple that with an amazing soundtrack composed by Ed Harrison, who went on to compose Mankind Divided's somewhat disappointing Breach mode, and you got a pretty little package. Just a little The game's not without fault though. Outside of the difficulty cliff, leaning feels wonky almost all of the time, and grenade physics can get a little crazy. Plus you're dealing with the 2006 version of the source engine, so be prepared to crash every 5 minutes if your computer's having a bad day. Most importantly though, the game is on its last legs and has been for a while. It's sorta never even got off the ground in fact. The community, while great, is extremely small. How small? Less than 30 people small. And they're all good. That being said, there's pretty much no barrier to entry for Neotokyo. The game is free and available on Steam, and due to being 10 years old, I'm sure it can run on just about any computer in 2019. Have I sold you yet? Yes? Good. Here's what you do. Join the active Neotokyo players Steam group, and every Friday there will be an announcement. That's when the community comes together and plays. Friday doesn't work for you? That's rough. Occasionally you can drop in and find 1 or 2 people playing on a server. I once played 2 hours with just one other guy and had a lot of fun cat and mousing each other all day. That's a rarity though. So why am I even telling you this? Why am I wasting my time making a video about a long-forgotten mod that no one even played in the first place? That's because I love it. It represents a time when I was just getting into PC gaming. I was discovering mods and trying to play anything and everything I could get my grubby little hands on. My Steam library was in the single digits, and I didn't have enough money to buy anything new. It reminds me of a simpler time, and sometimes it's refreshing to log in and feel the same way I did the first time I downloaded it in 2009 when it took me 9 hours to download. To me, Neotokyo is a sublime product of passion. Studio Radi-8 put in so much effort into the mod that it deserves to be shared with the world. Name me one other mod that has not 1 but 2 full albums of original music made for it. Name me a mod with this many brand new assets, this many new maps, this much innovation, this much unique and expressive concept art, and this much blood, sweat, and tears poured into it. Name me a mod that still has a dedicated player base this long after release, with 0 expectations of any continuing support from the development team. You may not care, but I do, and I'm sure they do too. So whatever happened to the super group of mod developers known as Studio Radi-8? Well, I did some digging, and the original development team consisted of about 9 people. Ed Harrison, as I already mentioned, worked on the music for the Breach mode of Deus Ex Mankind Divided. His most recent works include the soundtrack for the wonderful point-and-click adventure game and a newly released collaborative remix album of his Neotokyo OSTs. He works under the name Zero Edit, and is pretty great. Leary Greer, a concept artist who worked with Studio Radi-8 as far back as 2004, went on to become an art director for Weta Workshop. Since Neotokyo, he's worked on films like Pacific Rim Uprising, Chappie, Mad Max Fury Road, and coincidentally the art director for the 2017 live-action adaptation of Ghost in the Shell. Most recently, he's contributed art towards Weta Workshop's tabletop miniature game, Heavy Hitters. Sam Greer, a level designer and artist, worked on TF2, Spider-Man Web of Shadows, and most recently the cancelled Marvel Heroes, a Marvel-themed MMO. Jason Woronix, lead level designer, went on to design levels for Far Cry 4 and Contagion. He's currently working at Monochrome Incorporated on a Contagion VR, which is in early access. And Brian Cormer, programmer for Neotokyo and lead developer of Zombie Panic Source, worked on Contagion as the CEO of Monochrome Incorporated. Finally, the lead developer Justin Harvey, sound editor Jeffrey Pitts, and other member Eric Gant are all off the radar as far as I can tell, though Harvey still retains the Studio Radi-8 domain. I made this video to share Neotokyo with the world. Maybe it made you interested in it, maybe not. At least you should give it a try. It's free, and you don't know how long it'll last.